Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Mew, back at it again with another Dominions 5 video. This one's part of the NationGen for Mew series, which is a MagicGen game, meaning that all of the spells in the game are randomly generated. This time I'm looking through the blood spells. Starting Conjuration, nothing in Conjuration. Alteration, nothing in Alteration. Evocation, nothing in Evocation. Construction, nothing in Construction. Enchantment, nothing in Enchantment. Thaumaturgy, nothing in Thaumaturgy. And Blood Magic. Yeah, perhaps unsurprisingly, all of the blood spells are in the Blood Magic book. I'm noticing a lot of these spells early on don't need any Blood Slaves, which is pretty unique. Usually quite a lot of spells do, but let's see what we've got. So, level 0, we start with quite a few spells. Some crosspath stuff as well. So, crosspath with air, we have Blood Shock. 35 range, 200 cast time, 1 person, 3 precision, hit by 11 plus 1 points of armor negating magic damage. Interestingly, this does not do any lightning damage. Charges the victim's blood with electricity, deals magic damage. Pretty cool. We can also summon tiny ill earths in combat. Yeah, this does not require a blood slave. 200 cast time, summons a size 1 ill earth. Not sure if that's worth much. I think like Earth Allies, you want them to be able to trample stuff, right? So size 1's a bit of a letdown, but you know, it's at level 0 in the book, you can't ask for much. And also Fire Bonding Infernal Flies. So this is 6 projectiles that do 6 points of armor piercing fire damage. And additionally does some, I assume, are bonds of fire. It's pretty nice, you know. The number of effects does scale as well, 2 per level. Could fire out quite a lot of those, but whenever you're a big blood mage. Probably not going to hit very often though. And we can also summon lots of imps in combat. So yeah, level 0 in the book, we can use 1 slave to do 7 plus 2 imps in combat. That's pretty good. Or shadow imps. So is that the same cast time? Yes, so 250 cast time. But this is only 5 plus 1 shadow imps. I think I'd rather have the imps, to be honest, because they fly. And that scales better as well. Yeah, cool though. Level 1 then. Reinvigoration is in the book. 125 cast time, 1 blood slave, removes all your fatigue, always nice. We have Chilling Gale for a blood slave as well. This does not have cold on it. Or water, I should say. Damn, that's a 45 plus 5 range with a 24 plus 3 per level AoE. So, very big spell. Does 8 plus 2 points of armor piercing cold damage, but it's capped at 1. So, that damage is just for overcoming resistance, I think. But then it also does a big fatigue effect as well. So, 10 plus 2 points of armor negating cold fatigue damage. That's a very big AoE for quite a lot of fatigue damage if you're up against thing with no cold resistance. Seems pretty good. It doesn't need a crosspath either, so just all your B1 mages can spam that. Might be kind of nice quite early. Also have Lacerating Blood Boil. Requires Fire 1. 35 fixed range, affects 1 person, 3 precision. 11 points of armor negating magic damage. 1 scaling. That also does bleeding. Yeah, that's also pretty good, but only affects 1 person with 3 precision. So probably never actually going to hit, but you know, if it does, pretty good. Good against thugs. Bleeding's always really nice against thugs. Nice that it doesn't take a gem as well, I suppose. Sabbath spells are in the book, so 200 cast time, Communion Slave and Communion Master, very nice. We have Touch of Freezing Blood, so range 3, but it's 25 cast time, 100 precision, so might see it if something flies on a blood mage. Also doesn't need a gem. Just 11 plus 1 points of armor negating magic damage. Very nice. Doesn't affect friendlies either, so you're not going to hurt yourself with it. 2 rituals then, Bind Spine Devil for 3 slaves, and Bind Bone Fiend for 4 slaves. I don't remember which one is which, to be honest with you. Spine Devil and Bone Fiend now, can't remember. But I'm sure one of them is slightly better than the other, which will allow you, the viewer, to work out which one of those is better. I can't remember though. Bleeding then? B2 Mage can do bleeding. So this also doesn't require a blood slave, but it just inflicts bleeding. It's also 0 precision though. Kinda hard to land. Touch of Infernal Flames. Another short range spell, range 3. 25 cast time. A lot of these short range attacks are very spammy. It's area 1, 100 precision, doesn't affect friendlies, which is nice. Does 16 plus 2 points of armor piercing fire damage. That'll probably do some damage. And it also has a big heat shock as well. AoE 5, 10 plus 2 points of armor negating fire fatigue damage. Pretty nice. Probably never going to see these very short range spells, but you know, they do look cool. Bloodburst is in the book. Requires 2 slaves, has a 35 range, 175 cast time, AoE is 1, precision is 5, 2 blood slaves to cast it, and it does 12 plus 1 points of armor negating magic damage. That's pretty nice. We have improved resist poison, AoE 4 plus 10 poison resistance, does not need a blood slave. So quite nice early. That might be helpful for I noticed someone in the comments pointed out when I was looking through the nations that there's a nation with a bunch of blood hunters and blood mages that all have poison auras. So it'd be very annoying to kill all of your blood slaves constantly with your poison auras. Maybe this can help protect you a little bit. That'd be good. You can also do Serpent Fiends in combat. Get 1 Fiend for 2 blood slaves. Is that worth it? I don't know. Agony's in the book. Pretty nice. Oh, sort of. Yeah. That's a long cast time. So 40 range, 350 cast time. But that is a 7 plus 2 AoE. It does 1 point of armor negating damage, no scaling. But then also does a fear effect on top. So nice one to do early for communions. Spray a bunch of armor negating damage and fear around. Always cool. And finally, B3 Mage with 2 slaves can summon a Fiend of Darkness in combat. Might be okay. I mean, it's very early in the book, right? This is only level 1, so... yeah. Pretty cool to dump Fiends of Darkness onto the battlefield right away. Level 2 then, we have in combat a B1 Water 1 Mage can summon Wound Mirroring Ice Imps. So that's a lot of imps, that's 5 plus 2 Ice Imps. So these are Ice Imps that have Wound Mirroring, which I assume is damage reversal. When damaged, the summoned creatures gain the ability to redirect any damage suffered onto their attacker instead. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty nice thing to dump on the battlefield then. Damage reversal is always pretty funny. It's very easy to cast too. We also have Frostfire Orb, does not require a slave. Range 40, 100 cast time, 1 AoE, 1 precision. That is 18 plus 2 points of armor piercing fire and cold damage. It also does elemental exposure. How does that work exactly? By drawing on previous contracts made with infernal powers, a sphere of frostfire is launched towards the enemy. Frostfire is a strange combination of fire and frost which is somehow both hot and cold at the same time, and those wounded by it are simultaneously frozen and set on fire. I assume that's what this is, elemental exposure. Interesting. We also have Summon Sanguine Bone Fiend. In combat, if you have Death as a crosspath. Requires 1 Blood Slave, gives you a Sanguine Bone Fiend. Anyone wounded by the weapons of the summoned creature begins bleeding profusely. Pretty nice. And we have Summon Lesser Illurth as well. B1E1. 1 Blood Slave gives you a size 3 Illurth. That's a bit better. That is a 350 cast time though. Even so, it might be useful. Hell Power's in the book. So 175 cast time, 2 Blood Slaves. The caster gets Hell Power. A big buff, but also does a bunch of horror stuff. Always fun. We have a Ritual to bind Fiends of Darkness. 5 Blood Slaves gets you a Fiend. Is that? I think that's the same scaling as in the base game, right? Can't remember exactly. Seems fine though. And summon a Spine Devil in combat for 1 Blood Slave, 125 cast time. We have Chilling Wind, another spell that doesn't require a slave. Wow, so this is range 50 plus 5, 200 cast time, AoE is 17 plus 2. So it's more like, it's a big 10 plus 2 armor piercing cold damage, but it's capped at 1 again, and then does the fatigue effect. So yeah, more of the big AoE cold fatigue spell. Ritual to summon large shadow imps, 3 plus 1 per level. you get a large Shadow Imp. The summoned creatures are somewhat larger than normal. Not sure what that means exactly. Maybe they're going to be size 2? A Shadow Imp size 1? I think they are. I can't remember. Ritual to bind Sanguine Bone Fiend, so you can get a Bone Fiend that causes bleeding for 6 Blood Slaves. Improved Summon Fiend of Darkness. We have... Is this in combat? Yeah, so we had this one back here. So this was 350 cast time. Get you a Fiend of Darkness for 2 slaves. And this is 175 cast time. Get you a Fiend of Darkness for 2 slaves. So, nice little upgrade already. We then have Locate Ruins. So this is B3 and 50 Blood Slaves. This creates an adventure site in your capital that you can enter for Dungeons and Dragons events. That's pretty cool. Might be fun to play around with. I've never really used that much in a real game. It's very hard to find sites that let you do it. Interesting though. We have a ritual to do tiny Illiths. You can get 6 size 1 Illiths for... Oh no, wrong way around. So for 6 Blood Slaves you can get 16 plus 5 size 1 Illiths. I'm not sure if size 1 Illiths are worth much though. Maybe they've got good siege strength? I'm not sure. Probably not, because I guess they'll be mindless, right? I have no idea. But finally we can also have a B4 Mage spend 1 Blood Slave to summon a Disease Demon in combat. And I guess this is the vanilla version of Disease Demons that are not too bad, aren't they? Flying and ethereal and they have a disease aura. They're kind of annoying. Well, not too bad. What else we got? Level 3. So B1 F1 in combat. Only 2 combat spells at this level. So we have Sweltering Fracture Armor. Range 30. AoE is 10 plus 1. Precision of 3. This does... What is the first effect? It's doing additional... This looks like it's damaging armor, okay. So it damages armor, and then the secondary effect is some heat fatigue damage. It's quite nice. Armor negating, but MR negates. That's not too bad. What's the other in-combat spell? Let's check that first. So B3 and 2 slaves can do improved Bloodburst. Ah, nice. So AoE 3, fixed. Damage is 13 plus 1. Armor negating magic damage. Let's see all the rituals now. I assume this is just a bunch of summons, but let's find out. Knowledge of Pazuzu first, so B1A1. This is... The servant return with knowledge of all sites of blood and air. Oh wow, I've never seen a site searching spell that does 2 paths. I wonder how that's implemented, that's cool. Is there something like that in the base game? I have no idea. That's cool though. It's pretty efficient, right? Bind Fiery Imps. You get 5 plus 2 per level. Fiery Imps for 6 slaves. Whereas B1 F1. We have Crossbreeding. B1 N1. 15 Blood Slaves get you 20 plus 5 of the basic Crossbreeding summons. I had a lot of fun with the Crossbreeding spells in my Abyssia series. Go check that out if you're interested. B2 Mage can do Blood Feast with 5 slaves. This is the thing that cures all your afflictions, right? I think so. The caster experiences 10 healer checks, as if 10 commanders with the healer ability tried to heal them. Yeah. Also has a chance to develop cravings. That's always nice. We have Sanguine Shadow Imps. You can get 3 plus 1 for 9 Blood Slaves. I assume that's Shadow Imps that cause bleeding. Yep, looks like it. We have Bind Ice Imps. 6 plus 1 for 5 Blood Slaves. We have Bowl of Blood. So how much is this to cost? 2. The Pazuzu is 6. I guess it's not that efficient then. Well, maybe, I mean, I don't know. If you've got no air mages, I mean, well, that requires air. It's still pretty good, right, the Pazuzu one? You'd rather cast that. I would, anyway. But that searches for blood sites. You have Bind Slaves of Belphegor. You get 6 plus 1 Slaves of Belphegor. I don't know what that is. By offering blood to a dark power, the caster bargains for the services of several of Belphegor's human slaves. I don't know what a Slave of Belphegor is like, so I have no idea how good that spell is. But there it is. Generally, when I go through blood spells, it's basically if you're familiar with the blood spells, you'll be able to evaluate if these are good or not. I have no idea. I never really get very much into blood, to be honest. We've got Summon Shadow Imp though. This is the commander version, so 2 blood slaves get you a scout. That's pretty nice. That's very good, actually. Bind Serpent Fiends, get 3 for 4 Blood Slaves. Demon Knights, nice. Get a Demon Knight for 8 Blood Slaves. I know those are very good. And Infernal Circle. So 5 Blood Slaves plus however extra you want to spend on it. Boosts your Blood Ritual range. Very nice. Level 4 then, we have B2W2. I always want to say water and not the letter. I don't know what it is about water exactly. B2W2 gets you Bind Frostfiend Iceweaver for 60 Blood Slaves. Nice, that's a Frostfiend that comes with Water 2 Blood 1. Also have a chance of getting additional blood or some Air, Astral Death or Nature. That is a nice mage to get into some paths then. Pretty good one. Kind of expensive, but I mean it's early in the book as well. Level 4. We have Pact of Life. This is a scaling spell, so it requires B2. And let's see what this actually does. Through sacrificing blood to hellish forces, the caster purchases limited protection from death. If he is slain, he returns from death in the province where the ritual was cast, possibly gaining dark insight in the process. For the ritual to work, the province it was cast in must be in friendly hands when the caster dies. The spell requires more power to affect large beings. This sounds like Twiceborn, but it doesn't... He returns to life in his normal form. It doesn't turn you into a white mage or anything. That's cool, I wonder how that's implemented then. Yeah, it only costs 16 Blood Slaves as well. Well, no, it'll be 16 per size point, won't it? Still, that's pretty good, right? Toxic Burst in combat does not require a Blood Slave. Requires B2N2. 50 range, AoE is 1, precision is 1. Does 16 plus 3 scaling points of armor negating poison damage. And also does AoE 9 armor negating poison damage. That is very nice. It seems like a great spell if you're up against someone with no poison res. Even if they have some poison resistance, I mean that's a lot of damage and it scales quite nicely. You could do some big versions of this in a communion and it doesn't even take a blood slave. So that would be a really nice spell to do in a big blood communion. Yeah, that's a great spell, I think. Yeah, it's really easy to cast as well. Damn, what a sick spell. It's a shame that AoE doesn't scale, or it would be amazing in a communion. But even so, yeah, Toxic Burst, I like that one. And Call Lesser Horror. So, B2S2, 1 Blood Slave, summon a Lesser Horror at the edge of the battlefield. Potentially more than one, the caster attracts several Lesser Horrors. Interesting. So for 8 Blood Slaves, we can also have a B2W2 Mage bind 2 Frost Fiends. Pretty cool. We can have a B2D2 Mage bind Bone Fiend Reanimator. 60 Blood Slaves. So a Bone Fiend that is a D2 Mage that might also come with some levels of blood. Not bad. Or, with a B3 Mage, we can bind a Spine Devil Blood Curdler for 65 slaves. A B2 Mage that could come with nature. So you could summon this guy to do your Toxic Burst Communions, pretty good. We have Infernal Ambushes. So B3 and 60 slaves get you... Oh, is this a ritual? Okay. Thought it was a global for a second though. Caster summons and directs a stealthy creature to a remote province of his choosing. Every month, one commander affiliated with any pretender gods will be ambushed by random magical creatures. Ah, yeah. So we've seen a spell like this in another book previously. So it summons something invisible in a province, and because that monster is there until it's patrolled out, it just triggers assassination attacks. So the assassins will be Wound-Sharing Fiery Imps, Massive Shadow Imps, Wound-Sharing Imps, Shrunken Fiends of Darkness, Massive Ice Imps, Large Fiery Imps, Shrunken Disease Demons, Large Spine Devils, or Tiny Dark Vines. Interesting. How much was that to cost? 60 Blood Slaves? Might be an annoyance in certain provinces. A B3 Mage with 4 slaves can summon Dark Vines. With Dark Vines for 4 gems, that's pretty nice. B3A2 can bind a Storm Demon for 10 Blood Slaves. Also very nice, Storm Demons are amazing. We can bind Imps, we get 11 plus 2 per level for 8 Imps. Blood Fecundity is in the book, requires B4 and 10 Blood Slaves. Increases growth by 2 plus 1 duration per Blood Slave spent. Great one to put in your high pop provinces. You can bind a Shed with a B4 Mage and 9 Blood Slaves. I think Shido are pretty good, right? I can't remember exactly what they do. Shido are all able to unleash blasts of lightning. I'm pretty sure these are good units, I just can't remember what they are exactly. Aren't they like cows or something? I really don't remember. But again, if you're familiar with this stuff, you'll know more than I will. And finally, a B4 Mage with 9 Blood Slaves can bind Disease Demons. You get 2 of them for 9 Blood Slaves. And yeah, Disease Demons are pretty good. I think you usually only see them as assassins though, right? Interesting to be able to ritual summon them, I think. Level 5 then. A B2 Mage can do a ritual to do Infernal Promotion for 8 Blood Slaves. The caster makes a demon the subject of a ritual with much blood sacrifice. The demon is imbued with the powers of command and gains the ability to command troops. Oh, it's like a gift of reason for demons. And that's pretty cool. Only requires 8 Blood Slaves as well. I mean, I always like cheap gift of reason spells. I think everyone does. Next we have Bind Wound Sharing Bone Fiends. B2D2 and 22 Blood Slaves gives you 7 plus 1 per level Bone Fiends that have Wound Sharing. Is that like the Bless? When damaged, the summoned creatures gain the ability to force their attackers to suffer their wounds as well. Oh, okay. So no, it's just damage reversal. That's very cool then. That seems very efficient, right? The scaling isn't crazy, but 7 for 22 Blood Slaves, if they all have damage reversal, that's pretty sick. We can then cast damage reversal for 1 Blood Slave. So 250 cast time. Yep, you get damage reversal. Nice to see the yellow text exactly how it works. I should probably read that one day, but you know. B2 F2 Mage can do improved Bind Fiery Imps. 13 Blood Slaves gets you 17 plus 6 Fiery Imps. Fiery Imps aren't bad. B2 W2 Mage can do Bind Transforming Wolves of Cocytus. Let's see. So, summons a Transforming Winter Wolf. You get 9 plus 2 of them for 12 Blood Slaves. The caster binds Spectral Winter Wolves from Cocytus to fight for him. The Winter Wolf is an ethereal being which emanates cold. It is strongest in the winter. The summoned creatures are able to transform killed victims into magical creatures. Well, that's pretty funny. The summoned creatures have a 25% chance to reanimate killed creatures into random magical creatures, including Fiends of Darkness, Ice Imps, Foul Spawn, Foul Beast, Demon Knights? Wow. Serpent Fiend, Ice Imp, and Spitting Serpent Fiend. Well, that's a pretty cool spell. Very interesting. It's nice to see summons in here that are very different from the vanilla blood summons, at least. Next we have Wrath of Pazuzu. This is in the vanilla game, right? It's just, yeah, an annoying random event that does a lot of unrest. Reign of Toad, same thing. So, yeah, an air version and a nature version of dumping a ton of unrest on people if you want to. Always fun. Vampires are in the book. B3D2 gives you 3 vampires for 24 Blood Slaves. Vampires seem very cool. I've never really got to play around with them much, but they seem very good. And then we have a B3 Mage can do Improved Bind Slaves of Belphegor. 13 Blood Slaves gets you 17 plus 4. You know what? I'm going to look up what a Slave of Belphegor is. Hold on. I'm curious now what a Slave of Belphegor is. Because in my head they're just like peasants, right? They're not good units at all, but maybe I'm thinking of something. Slave of Belphegor. These are the most generic looking... They're just human spearmen with 10 in all stats. It seems very bad. It seems extremely bad. Why would you ever want to summon these? They're literally just humans with a spear, a ringmail cuirass, a shield, and a reinforced leather cap, and they have 10 in all stats. Alright, well... If you want 17 plus 4 human spearmen, 13 blood slaves, there's the spell for you. We have a B3 Mage can spend 1 slave to do summon Fiery Imps in combat. That is a big scaling spell. So 18 plus 6 Fiery Imps. If you want to do lots of Fiery Imps, there's the spell for you. Improved Bind Serpent Fiends. B3 Mage can do a 13 slave ritual. Do 11 plus 1 Serpent Fiends, pretty good. Send Lesser Horrors in the book. Whereas B4 S2. 18 Blood Slaves lets you send a Lesser Horror out of province. always has its uses. Here's an interesting looking spell. So a B5 mage with 72 blood slaves can do Holy Sloth. This enchantment, so this is a global enchantment. This enchantment affects all those spreading the word of the pretenders. The populace of affected provinces become filled with laziness. Every turn, each province makes 5 checks for a preaching commander, each with an 80% chance of occurring. Increases the sloth scale of the province by 1. Interesting. I wonder who could make the best use of that. It seems like an odd one. I'm sure that there's probably going to be some specific cases where that would be a great global to put up, and generally it's just meaningless. But interesting anyway. And then we have Improved Agony. So a B5 mage with 4 slaves. That is much improved. So 400 cast time though. But that is an AoE 31 plus 6 Agony. There's 1 point of armor getting magic damage with a major fear effect. So that is a huge fear. Great one for communions, but very slow to cast. Interesting. The Agony spells are very good always. Level 6, a B1 mage, so every blood mage in the game can spend 5 blood slaves to do Rejuvenate. Makes you a bit younger. We have Reinvigoration, so B2 and 2 blood slaves. Oh wow, this is an AoE version of Reinvigoration, that's cool. So AoE is 11 plus 1. That's very interesting. I like that. We also have Lacerating Consume Blood. A B2 mage with a slave in combat can do... Let's see, range 30, 125 cast time, AoE 1, precision 25. That usually implies life drain, right? Yeah. Life drain spells always have 25 precision for some reason. Damage is 12 plus 1, I'm gonna getting life drain damage. Also does bleeding, that's pretty sick. Another good spell. Perpetual Storm is in the book. Requires B3A3, 140 blood slaves. It's interesting that it's in blood though, instead of wherever it usually is. But I guess that's cool. We have Summon Wound Mirroring Demon Knights. So B3E2 and 22 blood slaves get you 2 Demon Knights that have damage reversal. Sounds pretty good to me. Next up we have Pact of Healing, B3 and 24 slaves. Wow, so a ritual that permanently gives your caster recuperation. That seems like it would have quite a few uses. Very cool. B3 mage can also do Forbidden Law for 28 blood slaves. The caster gains the ability to cast spells of all research levels off script in combat, but may not be scripted to cast any of them. This has no effect on ritual spells. The caster also gains 3 horror marks if they had less than that number beforehand. That is a really interesting spell. So you can cast any spell in the game, but only unscripted. But the cost is you get horror marked. That's a really cool spell. Interesting. So it would be tempted to have a few like high-level mages that you just cast this on, just to see what they do. Although, I guess, the thing is, you're only going to be able to put this on blood mages, right? So they're probably only going to really be casting big blood spells anyway, unless they've got like one big cross path or something. It's still kind of cool though. B3 S2 lets you call horror in combat. The caster attracts horrors to the edge of the battlefield. Requires 2 blood slaves. Demo Corruption's in the book. So B2 S2 lets you do Demo Corruption. This tome seems really, really good, but you never actually... I mean, I've never really been able to use it because it's so risky for the people living under it. But it does seem really good. Be cool to feeble mind someone with that one day. We have a B4 mage can bind Fiends of Darkness, so this gives you 6 for 22. Pretty good. We have a Bind Sheedim spell. Gets you 4 for 30 blood slaves. I might look up what sheds are as well while I'm... Hold on. Since I've got the page open for Slaves of Belphegor, let's see. Shed. Oh, that's not what I thought it was. I don't think I've seen these before. The Sheedim are winged ox-headed storm demons and servants of Pazuzu. They have 40 hit points. They are flying demons that have Thunder Fist and Lightning as attacks. Alright, well either way they seem very good. Yeah, nice units. This gives you 4 for 30 blood slaves. Sounds pretty good. B5 mage with 20 blood slaves can do wound sharing devils. So 3 devils with damage reversal. I think it would be very tempting to just get the damage reversal Demon Knights if it was me though. Demon Knights are great, and then having damage reversal on top seems pretty sick. We have Pact of Foresight. This requires Blood 5 and Air 4 and 90 blood slaves. Is this a global? It is. The caster grants provincial rules foresight against unexpected disasters, uprisings, and other negative events. Okay. There is a 12% chance per point of dominion to produce fortune-telling spirits in each friendly province. Spirits have a 100% chance to prevent normal random negative events. Interesting. It's probably worth putting up if you can. It at least blocks a slot in the global list, I suppose. And a B6 mage can do Pact of Infernal Skill, another global. So this is... grants 80 experience to a random non-sneaking commander in affected provinces. That seems very good. That's going to go off a lot, right? It only affects commanders. And it's, I mean, 80 experience is a big amount to just get granted, right? Because every time you get a star of experience, you gain additional research as well, so this would just be boosting all of your researchers too over time. Seems like a really nice one. Yeah, I'd definitely rather get that spell up, I think. Level 7 then. So a B1 mage in combat can summon Frost Fiends. 3 Frost Fiends for a Blood Slaves, that's not too bad. Although your B1 mages can cast that if they need to. We have Bind Frost Fiend Plane Freezer. B3 W2 90 blood slaves. This is a big mage. This summons a water 3 blood 1 mage that can also have blood, and then maybe more blood, and then maybe astral, air, death, or nature twice. That seems very good. I like it. Dream Horror is in the book, so B3 S2 30 blood slaves lets you send Dream Horror. That's a pretty cool spell, I think. Improved Crossbreeding, also in the book. 35 blood slaves gets you 80 plus 9 of the slightly better crossbreeding stuff. We have Demonic Knowledge, B4 and 30 blood slaves. The caster offers blood to devils in return for knowledge. Devils seek out and search a province with their supernatural knowledge, and return with details of all sites of magical power. Alright, so it's Akashic Knowledge. So 30 blood slaves, that's not too bad. We have Bind Wound-Sharing Storm Demons, okay. So 33 blood slaves get you 3 storm demons that also have damage reversal, very cool. We have 42 blood slaves, Wound Mirroring Spine Devil Ambush. So is this a remote assassination from a Spine Devil that has damage reversal? Seems pretty good. 90 blood slaves lets you bind a Devil Hellburner. So an F3B1 Devil that could come with blood, and then also more blood, and then death, earth, astral, and nature. Very cool. Yeah, I like these spellcaster summons, they're pretty cool. Archdevil's in the book though. Looks like this is the regular old Archdevil spell. Pretty nice one. A B5 mage with 48 blood slaves can bind huge disease demons. You get 5 of them for 48 blood slaves. The summoned creatures are significantly larger than normal. Okay. Bloodletting, a B6 mage with 4 slaves in combat can life drain the entire battlefield. Always cool. No damage scaling. Nothing scales on this spell actually. 450 cast time, 4 slaves to cast it. Infernal Fortune, lots of big spells here. So B6 and 90 slaves let you do Infernal Fortune. This is a very simple looking global. Each friendly province has 2 independent rolls at 10% per chance per point of friendly dominion to gain +1 luck. Oh, right. So just give all your provinces luck scales, basically. I guess if your dominion is high enough, each friendly province has 2 rolls per point of dominion. Yeah, you could eventually just get all of your provinces to +3 luck then, couldn't you? Even if they were Misfortune 3. As long as your dominion was high enough. Looming Hell is in the book. B7, 88 slaves. Looks like Looming Hell. And Blood Vortex is in the book as well. So B7 and 166 lives. Probably just like Blood Vortex by default. And lastly, we have the level 8 and 9 spells. Let's see. So B1 mages in combat can do Parasitic Life for a Life. So 100 range, 100 precision, 1 person, hit by 10 plus 5, very good scaling, points of armor negating magic damage, with additional life drain that is also... Wait, it says additional life drain, but this isn't life drain damage, right? Doesn't life drain damage say in brackets? Wasn't that how the previous one looked? I could be wrong. Maybe it's... I don't know, I feel like this isn't life drain, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just something about the last one we saw. But, well, hopefully it works correctly, but that's a cool spell either way. Good scaling, armor negating damage. B2 Mage can do Blood Rain, so that's the usual battle enchantment, lowers morale. We have Overloaded Damage Reversal. So a B2 Mage can spend a slave to do, let's see. Is this just damage reversal for AoE? Looks like it. So an AoE 6 version of damage reversal, but then if you fail a magic resistance roll you also get stunned, so one of those spells. A B4 Mage can do Bind Demonic Locusts for 82 blood slaves. This gives you 13 plus 1 of them. This is cool. Locusts are the things that lower Dominion, yeah. That's pretty interesting. Send Horrors in the book. B4 S2 lets you send a horror for 45 blood slaves. Always useful. We have Sanguine Claws of Cocytus. So B4 W2, 2 blood slaves. Is this Banishment with Bleeding? It looks like Banishment with Bleeding, let's see. A gate is opened and the target is instantly thrown into Cocytus, the icy realm of devils. This effect cannot be resisted by any means, and being sent to Cocytus means certain death for most mortals. This spell is filled with dark energy that may cause those affected to begin bleeding profusely. Cool spell. We have Infernal Fire Spheres. All of these need B5 now. So B5 Mage can do 6 fireballs basically. They do 22 plus 2 points of armor piercing fire damage with a big fire heat damage fatigue effect as well. Pretty cool. This is inaccurate but may severely burn many enemies. It doesn't seem that inaccurate, I guess, relative to some spells. Rituals then, we have B5 and 71 Blood Slaves does 36 plus 7 massive Shadow Imps. Wonder how big they are. 38 Blood Slaves lets you bind 7 plus 1 Sanguine Frost Fiends. Frost Fiends that do bleeding. We have B5, D3 and 81 Blood Slaves lets you send 19 plus 3 per level Wound Sharing Bone Fiends that attack everything in the province and then disappear. We have B5, E3, summon Wound Sharing Huge Illart. Okay, this one sounds good. How many? Let's see what the scaling's like on this. 103 Blood Slaves get you 18 plus 3 size 5 Illarts that have damage reversal. That seems pretty good. We can also just summon small Illarts if you want to do that instead. 41 plus 4. 62 Blood Slaves get you size 2s. I don't think so. I think you'd rather do this version, right? Astral Corruption's in the book. B6, S3, 166 Blood Slaves. Let you do Astral Corruption. It's a lot of yellow text. If you ever wanted to know exactly how Astral Corruption works, pause the video now. What was that about Umor? Umor becomes able to attack non-horror marked, non-mindless pretenders. As in a regular game state, checks proceed in order of increasing nation ID, and at most one pretender can be attacked this way each turn. There is a 50% chance to consider each pretender in turn. Chance of an attack following consideration in pretend becomes 1 plus marks times 2, for a maximum of 10% at 5 marks. I learned nothing from that. And finally, Bind Devils B7 and 43 Blood Slaves get you 10 plus 1 Devils. This seems kind of underwhelming, I don't know. Level 9 then, let's see the big blood spells. Lots of big costs down here. I like the look of that. So every blood mage in the game for a blood slave can do Bloody Leech Life. This is 50 plus 5 range, AoE is fixed at 1, 25 precision, Yeah, see, this has life drain, which makes you think it's actually life drain. But, I don't know. 23 plus 1 points of armor negating life drain damage that also inflicts bleeding. Very nice. We have Charring Claim Eyes. V1, F1 and a Blood Slave lets you do 40 plus 10 per level range and 100 precision in AoE 9 plus 1 blindness that additionally does 10 points of arm piercing fire damage. Pretty good. B2D2 and 2 Blood Slaves let you do Reanimating Blast of Buer's Flame. Range is 40 plus 5, AoE is 10 plus 1. Damage is 32 plus 2 points of armor piercing magic damage. And anyone killed by it will raise as a soulless being. Additionally inflicts decay in AoE around it as well. Pretty good. We can call lesser horrors in combat. Interesting. I wonder if that's going to just summon tons of them. Seems strange that it's so late in the book. Summon Sanguine Dark Vines in combat. You get 2 Dark Vines that I assume do bleeding. Yep, looks like it. We have Infernal Prison. E3, F3. Banished to Inferno, I assume. Yep. This effect cannot be resisted by any means, and being sent to the Inferno means certain death for most mortals. Pretty good. And finally, a bunch of rituals, let's see. So, B5, S3, 240 Blood Slaves, the most expensive spell in the book, I think. Insights from Beyond. This enchantment causes any commander in friendly dominion to be occasionally infused with knowledge of otherworldly beings. This causes them to become more knowledgeable in some aspect of magic, but may leave them with permanent mark that attracts horrors from beyond. Any commander may be affected by this, even those without any skill in magic. For each of the 8 magic paths per friendly province, there is a 2% chance per point of dominion to pick a random commander of level 0 to 4 in the respective path. Even if successful, there is a further 80% chance to do nothing. Success boosts the commander's path in the respective magic type by 1 permanently. They also gain a horror mark. Wow. So this is a global that just gradually gives every commander in your dominion bonus levels of magic, but also horror marks them. That seems very cool. I mean, you'd have to put that up if you could, right? I mean, it's just too tempting not to. Very cool spell. We also have Bind Bone Fiends. This requires B5, D4 and 62 Blood Fiends. Gets you 37 plus 5 Blood Fiends. I always love the scaling on the level 9 blood spells. We have a B6 spell, Advanced Bind Serpent Fiends. You get 46 plus 6 for 52 Blood Slaves. A beautiful efficiency. We have Improved Bind Fiends of Darkness, B6, 52 Blood Slaves, gets you 15 plus 2. Alright, that one's not as crazy, but still very efficient. B7, we have Tomes from Beyond, 213 Blood Slaves, looks like another global, yep. This enchantment causes researchers in Friendly Dominion to be occasionally infused with knowledge of otherworldly beings. So is this the same thing? Looks like the odds are slightly better, but yeah, it only affects researchers this time. Did the other one have a restriction? This one's just random commander, and this one is specifically people who are researching. So this one would not be able to affect non-magical commanders, unfortunately. That'd be cool to get both of those globals up, though, and just gradually boost all of your mages. And, you know, constantly be getting attacked by horrors, but, you know, that's the price you pay. B7 Mage with 59 Blood Slaves can do Improved Bind Disease Demons. 14 plus 2 Disease Demons. Demon Lord is in the book, so bind a Demon Lord for 150 Blood Slaves. And finally, the final spell, Enshrined Pact of Gold. Requires level 8 blood and 161 Blood Slaves. Another global event. So this enchantment affects all friendly provinces containing a temple in your dominion. There is a 10% chance up to 3 times. There is a 5% chance per point of dominion up to 3 times. And then there is finally a 3% chance per point of dominion everywhere that you just get 470 gold. That seems like a lot of gold. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Going through the blood books is always a bit awkward because there's always just so many summons, and I don't have great like encyclopedic knowledge of what all these summons and stuff alike, but maybe this gave you a better idea than me. But that is the Blood Book. That is also the final spellbook video of the series. So thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the blood spells. And this will be the last time that we do this. From now on, you will just have to watch Dominion's gameplay. I know. But stick with it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And hopefully I will see you around.